Man, I didn't. Okay, I'm actually ashamed. I was like, so one of my early jam buddies when I was like high school age and starting, around like 15 or 16, his favorite bands were like Queen, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, all these bands that I thought were just, and the Rolling Stones, all stuff I thought was super bogus. I was like, this is so,
greatest bands of all time.
This is so cheesy. Like, what is this? Grandpa rock. And I went through a really hard breakup. And somebody had given me a copy of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And I heard the song. It was like, I get by with a little help from my friends. I think that's what it's called. I didn't have to sing it. But I heard that, and then it all kind of glued together because all my friends were taking such good care of me at the time. And then I was like, okay, Beatles are actually all right. And then I bought like a random vinyl, like an old Stones album. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And then it just like, I was just so late to that whole foray into classic stuff like that.
Well, and your tastes change and evolve as you get older too. That's the other thing. Like you hear music in new ways, like the stuff I was listening to when I was like 13. I mean, if I go back and listen to that stuff, like just for nostalgia now on Spotify, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of it's kind of badass still, like to this day, like it holds up. I'm like, okay, yeah, those were solid records, but like I can't like identify with, some of these, like like me, like seriously listening to like pop punk at the age I'm at now or something like that.
Oh, like, I'm right there with you, pop punk. I'm all about that stuff, but I'm also all about Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin 2 is one of the greatest albums ever written. So
I actually came across a similar dilemma that you had like later on in life because Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. I love that shit when I was young.
I still do. I listened to it yesterday.
No, yeah, it's still a good album, but it's
he doesn't
nostalgia.
Speak for me.
It's the nostalgia that I really appreciate with it because then I was in college, like 19, 20 years old or something. I was like, you know what? I'll buy Meteora, which was the second album. It had like Numb and
that one was good too.
Yeah, that one was. But it didn't connect with me as much. I was like, oh God, why did I buy this?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like when you eat certain kinds of food when you're really young, and then it's like as you get older, you start to like try other stuff and everything. And sometimes you like really, go down a crazy hole with that. And then like later on, you sort of come back to the stuff, that you really enjoyed. It's like, yeah, chicken fingers are cool. Like age 30 something, it's like, I could see why I lived off those for like 10 years when I was a kid.
Well, like
you don't have to be a snob about it.
When I went to my first music festival, and it was in Lawrence, Kansas, Wakarusa, I don't know, it was a long time ago, and I was like so convinced, like there's no way I'm gonna get into all these like hippie jam bands, like this is so outside of like the rock quote unquote stuff that I listened to at that age. I saw Widespread Panic and Les Claypool on the same night. There's like sitars, crazy bass, like guitar solos for hours. And I left after like 3 days and I was like, man, Fish rocks. That's like all I listened to for like 2 years straight. Good stuff. But yeah, man, if your tastes aren't changing as you're listening to newer stuff, then you're probably, especially if you play music, because every genre, even if it's not something you listen to, there's always going to be like those little, it might be a piccolo shot or a snare, a weird bass thing here, a guitar thing here, and then you can take that and put it into the world that you know and love, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's what's fun about like listening to other stuff. I mean, there's little stuff that, you can pull from that. Whereas like, I mean, I feel like I hear bands and you could almost just hear that like the influences are very, kind of one dimensional. And then when people create a band off that, it just ends up sounding like kind of like an inbred version of, whatever it was that they were into. And it's like, you gotta diversify the gene pool a little bit here, man. Like
totally.
Yeah, I feel that.